The Armenian Apostolic Church is the national church of the Armenian people. It is part of Oriental Orthodoxy and is one of the most ancient Christian communities. Armenia is an early center of Christianity, and it was the first country to adopt Christianity as its official religion in the early 4th century. By establishing this church, the church claims to have originated in the missions of apostles Bartholomew and Thaddeus in the 1st century. It is sometimes referred to as the Armenian Orthodox Church or Gregorian Church. The latter is not preferred by the Church itself, as it views the apostles Bartholomew and Thaddeus as its founders, and Saint Gregory the Illuminator as merely the first official governor of the Church. It is also simply known as the Armenian Church. History. Origins. The Armenian Church claims apostolic succession through the apostles Bartholomew and Thaddeus. According to legend, the latter of the two apostles is said to have cured Abgar of Edessa of leprosy with the image of Edessa, leading to his conversion in 30 AD. Thaddeus was then commissioned by Abgar to proselytize throughout Armenia, where he converted the king Sanatruk's daughter, who was eventually martyred alongside Thaddeus when Sanatruk later fell into apostasy. After this, Bartholomew came to Armenia, bringing a portrait of the Virgin Mary, which he placed in a nunnery he founded over a former temple of Anahit. Bartholomew then converted the sister of Sanatruk, who once again martyred a female relative and the apostle who converted her. Both apostles ordained native bishops before their execution, and some other Armenians had been ordained outside of Armenia by James the Just. According to Beam, Armenian Christians were persecuted by kings Axides, Khosrovi, and Tiridates III, the last of whom was converted to Christianity by Gregory the Illuminator. Ancient Armenia's adoption of Christianity as a state religion has been referred to Nina Garsoyan as probably the most crucial step in its history. This conversion distinguished it from its Iranian and Mazdaean roots and protected it from further Parthian influence. Other scholars as well have stated that the acceptance of Christianity by the Arsacid Armenian rulers was partly in defiance of the Sassanids. Tiridates declared Gregory to be the first Catholicos of the Armenian Church and sent him to Caesarea to be consecrated. Upon his return, Gregory tore down shrines to idols, built churches and monasteries, and ordained many priests and bishops. While meditating in the old capital city of Ahashapat, Gregory had a vision of Christ's coming to the earth to strike it with a hammer. From the spot rose a great Christian temple with a huge cross. He was convinced that God intended him to build the main Armenian church there. With the king's help, he did so, along the lines of his vision. He renamed the city Echmiadzin, which means, the place of the descent of the only begotten. Initially the Armenian Church participated in the larger church world. Its Catholicos was represented at the First Council of Nicaea and the First Council of Constantinople. Although unable to attend the Council of Ephesus, the Catholicos Isaac Parthiv sent a message agreeing with its decisions. The Armenian Church began to distance itself from the Roman concept of the universal church when, in 373, King Papas appointed Catholicos Husic without first sending him to Caesarea for commissioning. Christianity was strengthened in Armenia in the 5th century by the translation of the Bible into the Armenian language by the native theologian, monk, and scholar Street Mesrob Mashtots. Before the 5th century, Armenians had a spoken language, but it was not written. Thus, the Bible and liturgy were written in Greek or Syriac rather than Armenian. The Catholicos Sahak commissioned Mesrob to create an Armenian alphabet, which he completed in 406. Subsequently, the Bible and liturgy were translated into Armenian and written in the new script. The translation of the Bible, along with the translation of other works of history, literature and philosophy, caused a flowering of Armenian literature and a broader cultural renaissance. Unlike the Bible used in other Eastern churches, the Armenian Bible originally had 39 books in the Old Testament. What are commonly called the Apocrypha or deuterocanonical books were not translated until the 8th century and not read in the churches until the 12th century. Independence. At the First Council of Dvin in 506, the Synod of the Armenian, Georgian, and Caucasian Albanian bishops were assembled during the reign of Catholicos Babkani. The participation of the Catholicoi of Georgia and Albania were set to make clear the position of the churches concerning the Council of Chalcedon. The Book of Epistles mentions that 20 bishops, 14 laymen, and many Nakaras participated in the council. The involvement in the council discussion of different level of lay persons seemed to be a general rule in Armenia. Almost a century later, the Third Council of Dvin was convened during the reign of Catholicos Abraham I of Abatank and Prince Mabat Bagratuna, with clergymen and laymen participating. The Georgian Church disagreed with the Armenian Church, having approved the Christology of Chalcedon. This council was convened to clarify the relationship between the Armenian and Georgian churches. After the council, Catholicos Abraham wrote an encyclical letter addressed to the people, blaming Kurian and his adherents for the schism. The council never set up canons, it only deprived Georgians from taking communion in the Armenian Church. Despite this, the Albanian Church remained under the jurisdiction of the Armenian Church while in communion with the Georgian Church. Miaphysitism versus monophysitism. Like all Oriental Orthodox churches, the Armenian Church has been referred to as monophysite by both Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox theologians because it rejected the decisions of the Council of Chalcedon, which condemned the belief of one incarnate nature of Christ. The Armenian Church officially severed ties with Roman Constantinople in 554, during the Second Council of Dvin, where the Chalcedonian diaphysite Christological formula was rejected. However, again like other Oriental Orthodox churches, the Armenian Orthodox Church argues that the identification as monophysitism is an incorrect description of its position. It considers monophysitism, as taught by Eutyches and condemned at Chalcedon, a heresy and only disagrees with the formula defined by the Council of Chalcedon. The Armenian Church instead adheres to the doctrine defined by Cyril of Alexandria, considered as a saint by the Chalcedonian churches as well, who described Christ as being of one incarnate nature, where both divine and human nature are united. To distinguish this from Eutychian and other versions of monophysitism, this position is called miaphysitism, whereas the prefix mono means only, thus emphasizing the singular nature of Christ. Mia simply means one, unemphatically, and allows for a compound nature. In recent times, both Chalcedonian and non-Chalcedonian churches have developed a deeper understanding for each other's positions, recognizing their substantial agreement while maintaining their respective theological language.